Canto 26. Summary. The pilgrim is still temporarily blind from staring at the shining soul of the Apostle John, but his examination continues as John asks him about love and where the pilgrim's soul is fixed. Dante answers that God is the supreme good that love teaches him. This is too broad of an answer for John, who asks Dante to be more specific, especially as to how his love has been so directed. The pilgrim identifies both the philosophical arguments from natural reason and the necessary light of revealed truth in Scripture as the twin influences that have shaped his affection. John wants Dante to clarify further. By what and how many teeth has love bit the pilgrim? The knowledge of existence itself, of Christ's redemption, and the believer's hope of future glory are the primary reasons that lead Dante toward a love for God. With this answer, all the souls in this sphere break out in song, singing the Sanctus. At this moment, having successfully completed the whole of his examination, Dante regains his sight. Looking around, he discovers that a fourth soul has joined them, the soul of Adam. Taking for granted that this first soul will know what his questions are, Dante reverently asks him to speak. Having seen them in the mind of God, Adam knows the 4 questions Dante wishes to have answered. How long has it been since Adam was made? How long he was in the garden? The true cause for God's wrath? And what language he spoke? Adam answers briefly that eating the fruit was by itself not the reason they were expelled from the garden, but rather the breaking of God's command. Next, he reveals a precise number of years since creation, 4,302 years from Adam's descent to limbo to the crucifixion, 930 years from creation to Adam's death. Given that there have been 1,266 years since Christ was crucified, the world is 6,498 years old. The language he spoke was already extinct by the time of the Tower of Babel. Lastly, Adam reveals that he was in the garden a total of 6 hours before he and Eve were driven out for their sin. Canto 26. Starry Sphere. While full of doubts due to my smothered sight from the radiant flame which had quenched it, there issued a breath that made me alert, which said, "Until you regain the vision you have consumed in me, it will be well for you to compensate for it through speech. Begin then, and say where your soul is fixed, and know for a certainty that your sight is only confused, it is not destroyed. For she who leads you through this divine realm has in her countenance the same virtue that Ananias once had in his hand." I said, "Let cure come then at her pleasure, soon or late. For my eyes, those gates through which she brought the fire in which I always burn. The good that makes this court content is the alpha and omega of all writing, that love teaches me, with more or less stress." That same voice which had removed the terror at my unexpected bedazzlement made me concerned once again with his words, and said, "Certainly you must clarify with a narrower sieve. You must now say what directed your bow toward such a mark." And I, "By philosophic arguments and by the authority that descends from here, such love must stamp itself on me. For the good, inasmuch as it is good, kindles love inasmuch as it is known, and kindles more the more goodness it holds. To the essence, then, which has such value that every good found outside of it is nothing other than a light of its ray, the mind must move, more than to another, filled with love, the mind of all who discern the truth upon which this proof is founded. Such truth is open to my intellect, by him who shows to me the primal love of each and every everlasting being. And the truthful author's voice opens it when he tells Moses, speaking of himself, "I will cause you to behold all goodness." You open it to me as well, where starts the high message that proclaims there below this secret over every other cry. And I heard, "By the intellect of man, and by the authorities that agree, the highest of your loves gazes at God. But speak again, if you feel other chords drawing you to him, so that you might sound how many teeth with which this love bites you." The holy intention of Christ's eagle was not hidden from me, Rather, I saw where he wanted to guide my profession. Wherefore I began again. All those teeth that are able to turn the heart to God have contributed to my charity, the world's existence as well as my own, the death he endured that I might have life. What every believer hopes, as do I, with the living knowledge stated before, have drawn me from the sea of twisted love, and of right love have placed me on the shore. I love the leaves with which the whole garden of the eternal gardener is leafed, in measure with the good he gives to them. As soon as I was still, the sweetest song resounded through that sphere, and my lady with the rest cried, Holy, holy, holy. And as one is woken by a sharp light, because the spirit of sight runs to meet the splendor, passing through from coat to coat, and he, now awake, shrinks from what he sees, wholly witless in the sudden waking, until discernment succors him once more. So from my eyes Beatrice put to flight every mote with her rays that were shining a distance of more than 1,000 miles, whence I saw better than I did before, and as one who is stupefied, I asked about a fourth light I saw among us. And my lady, within that ray, with love, the first soul that the primary power ever created admires his maker. As the bough that bends its branches downward in a gust of wind, then raises itself by its inherent power to rise up, such, while she was speaking, did I become stupefied. And then a desire to speak, with which I was burning, made me assured. And I began, O fruit, who was alone formed full grown, O ancient father, for whom each bride is daughter and daughter-in-law, as devoutly as I can, I ask you to speak with me. You have seen my desire, and to hear you sooner I say it not. Sometimes an animal moves covered up such that its affection is thus revealed by the wrapping which follows its motion. In like manner the first soul made himself apparent to me through his covering, by how it gladly came to give me joy. From it breathed, Without you uttering it, I discern your desire better than you can see things that are, to you, more certain. For I see it in the truthful mirror who makes himself an image of all things, though nothing can make an image of him. You wish to hear how long it is since God placed me within that exalted garden, where she readied for you so long a stare. How long it was a delight to my eyes, the true cause of his great indignation, and the idiom that I used and formed. Now, my son, the tasting of the tree was by itself not the cause of such exile, but the trespassing of the mark alone. In that place whence your lady moved Virgil 4,302 turnings of the sun did I desire this counsel. And I saw him turn throughout all the lights on this path 930 times, while I myself was still upon the earth. The language I spoke was wholly obscured before the people of Nimrod paid heed to their unaccomplishable project. For never has that which human reason produced been able to last for all time, since man's pleasure varies with the heavens. That men speak is a function of nature, but this or that way to you nature gives according to what seems pleasing to you. Before I descended to hell's distress, on the earth the highest good was named Yah, from whom comes the happiness that clothes me. Later he was called El. This is fitting, for the usage of mortals is a leaf on a branch which goes forth while others come. On the mount that rises most from the wave, I was, with life both pure and dishonest, from the first hour to that which comes after the 6th hour, when the sun crosses the line.